Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh joining us now on the broadcast. It's been a heck of a day. Dr. Jitendra Singh, first of all, a very happy International Day of Yoga to you as well. We've seen some iconic scenes of India's Prime Minister at the UN headquarters in New York, wearing a white t-shirt with a gamcha, sir, performing yoga with the best of them. How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, absolutely proud, Rishabh, like all of us. And I think we have all been witness to the history in making. 180 countries, their representatives lining up to perform yoga, led by Prime Minister Modi, the Prime Minister of India. And I think this is one scene which vindicates all that our forefathers fought for to get India an independent status and a democratic status. Today, India's capacity and its legacy of yoga and legacy as a whole has been accepted by the entire world, regardless of their lineage, regardless of their affiliations, regardless of their beliefs, regardless of their skin color, regardless of their faith. All of them have come together to celebrate yoga. And this has been possible because Prime Minister Modi, soon after he took over in 2014, he came out with a proposal before the UNO, and it was accepted unanimously, which means the world was waiting to accept India for all its heritage and legacy that it has. But we possibly did not have that kind of a leadership. We had to wait 70 years from Prime Minister Modi to happen.
Okay, we've begun with yoga, sir, but in that conversation, he was also talking about addressing an audience in New York, but people are watching all over the world. He spoke about the UN peacekeeping, of course, memorial, but he also spoke about millets. And as you know, the government is celebrating the International Year of Millets. So it's not just yoga, it's about Indian food, Indian perhaps even design, and many other things going forward.
Yes. To add to what you are saying, Rishabh, absolutely. 2023 has been a very significant year for India, very important year, because it's the second time in 9 years that a proposal made by India through Prime Minister Modi has found acceptance in the United Nations. First, it was, of course, the International Day of Yoga, which is being observed today. The second was to observe International Year of Millets. And the third pleasant coincidence is that India is hosting G20. And the theme given by Prime Minister Modi for G20 is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which means one earth, one family, one future. And the same spirit he has sought to carry forward as the theme for the International Day of Yoga today. So I think many things have combined together to make this a very important year, and also to symbolize India taking a lead in bringing the world together as a single family on a single planet.
It's a very noble attempt, sir, and you know, some people would see it in exactly the premise which you are portraying it. Some people would say, no, this is soft power, it is cultural imperialism, this is a very Indian thing, or it's a very Hindu thing to do. What is the mission here, sir? When we say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, what is the mission? Is it just a slogan, or do we need to, are we working towards enacting something?
No, absolutely not. I would rather see it as a larger philosophy. And I think this is a philosophy which has the potential to last or to outlive when all the other philosophies have failed, be it the leftism, Marxism, communism, etc. Because this is based on primarily brotherhood and mutual love among the human beings, regardless of their origin. So I think this is a larger concept which possibly was not sought to be presented before the world in a manner that it would have become more acceptable, or maybe there was no attempt made at all.
Okay.
So in a world which is strife-torn for so many reasons, I think this is a way out which Prime Minister Modi has
Okay, Dr. Jitendra Singh, we are already the 5th largest economy. By this time next year, we'll probably be the 4th largest. Overtaking Germany. Germany, remember, is in recession. India is growing at about 7%.
Yeah. See,
so is India's rise, when we say peaceful rise, what is peaceful rise? Is India's rise, how is it going to be good for the world, sir?
See, one thing, today, as you rightly said, India is the fastest growing economy. We are number 5, having overtaken United Kingdom, which ruled over us for nearly 2 centuries. That itself gives a lot of confidence to the to India as well as the Indians. And not only we are progressively rising, the pace of rise is also, the pace of ascent is also progressively increasing. And that has also been possible. I think somebody will have to deeply research into it. It's been possible because some of those areas which had not been explored hitherto have been sought to be explored in the last 9 years, which were inherently Indian, which were exclusively Indian. Like, for example, a small example of khadi. Khadi basically originated from India. Today has become a world market. There's a turnover of nearly 1 lakh crore. Modi gave the slogan, Khadi for fashion, Khadi for nation. Now you have designer outfits from Khadi which are being. So, similarly, bamboo. We had about a business about 5,000 to 6,000 crore of agarbatti every year. But all the agarbatti, all the bamboo growing here and agarbatti coming from Korea, Vietnam, China, etc.
Yes.
Because the provisions were like that, the vyavasthas were like that. Prime Minister Modi made an amendment in the Indian Forest Act of 1927, exempted bamboo out of it, increased the import duty on bamboo products, so that our raw material remaining unutilized and final product coming from the other country. So he has tried to give a new culture also in the realms of trade, business, and then optimum utilization of technology. Then exploring areas like Himalayan resources, aroma. Then talking of deep sea mission. We have 7,500 long kilometer coastal area which was never ever attended to. And that's a huge wealth underlying our sea ocean. That's why it's called Indian Ocean.
Yes.
No other country, even Australia, which is both an island as a country, as a continent, doesn't have a ocean named after it. So I think there's been a tremendous amount of vision with a research approach which has led to this turn of events.
Okay, he's met with Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's met with Elon Musk. One, of course, is an eminent astrophysicist. The other, of course, runs a major private sector space firm. It's a department you handle. We are looking at perhaps India's first ever jet engine, or at least some technology transfer towards that. We are, of course, as a country looking at building our first semiconductor fabricators. On the high-tech front as well, Dr. Singh, how is India changing?
Absolutely. See, I think the biggest change, I'm glad you asked that, biggest change now is which we need to also share with the common citizens of this country is that today India has at its disposal the same technology which is available elsewhere. It was not like that till a few decades ago. A technology would get introduced in a certain country, in a Western country. It would be applicable there for years together, decades together, then we would think of adopting it. Like, for example, a simple instance is that of television. Television was there in USA even in 1950s. You remember the famous presidential debate which led to the victory of President Kennedy against Richard Nixon.
Yes.
Was the result of TV debates. Whereas here, we had never heard of television at that time. In this country, TV came only around 1970. But it's not so now. We are in the same boat as far as quantum technology is concerned as other countries. We are part of those 5-6 countries elite club which are now dealing with quantum technology. They have not applied it to that extent. We have not applied it. They are at the R&D stage. We are at the R&D stage. So every technology which is available elsewhere in the world is available here. In the health sector, we are there with robotic medicine, robotic surgery. So it's no longer, that gap is no longer there. I think that's the biggest change that has happened now.
Okay, I have to ask you before I let you go, Dr. Jitendra Singh, because the PM, of course, is in the US. He'll be there for the next couple of days. Another Indian politician has been conducting a trip of the US. And he's been very critical of the India story. He says that India is not doing well, that what all you are saying is not the full picture.
No, I think that doesn't carry any conviction for the simple reason that we have a government which has been popularly elected. We have the head of state who has been there as the head of state for almost 2.5 decades. He's been democratically elected. I think that's a unique feature in itself, because we have seen heads of state lasting for decades in a dictatorial arrangement or in a fascist arrangement, not like this. So when you say this, you are actually abusing the preference and the discretion and the wisdom of 130, 140 crore Indians who have elected this government. So I don't think that carries